David Patrikarakos joins us now. He's the author of War in 140 Characters, How Social Media is Reshaping Conflict in the 21st Century. So, David, the images that we have seen on social media have been stunning, and they run from being comical and people stealing Russian tanks and teaching other people how to use them to people's family members dying on camera in front of them. How does this shape the conflict?
Well, look, I mean, we have to be careful. I mean, obviously, the thing that matters most are events on the ground. It is those tanks rumbling towards Kiev. It is the shelling of those cities. But at the same time, what emerges around this is a media war. War, is as old as time itself, and it doesn't change. People kill people, unfortunately, but the context in which wars take place. And what we have now are wars fought under total data coverage, in which every action can be live streamed, can be filmed, can be shot, can be photographed, and then memed. So what we're seeing now is the Ukrainians, the underdogs, using, utterly outgunned, utterly outmanned, using what they can, namely the media, as apart from their, great fighting, to try, and this is the key thing that we must remember, to try and affect policy. Now, people will say that, there are two schools of ones that say that, the info wars are so important, and others say they don't mean anything. The fact is that we're seeing the Germans now, for the first time pretty much ever since the war, handing missiles, Stinger missiles to a country. Don't forget that these types of social media operations done by the Ukrainians affect policy. And policy means more money, more Stingers, more javelins, and that does affect the war on the ground.
Absolutely. I mean, everything can be documented instantaneously now. And it's interesting during this conflict that when you want the latest information, I even find myself not necessarily turning to the traditional media outlets who vet things. But you look at social media and you look at people who were there in those villages. You don't really know what is verified at first, but you are seeing the pictures instantaneously. On the flip side, though, when you have a society like Russia that is used to a great deal of disinformation from its own government, anything that is documented on social media, you see the government go right back and say, well, we don't know if that's true. It could be fake.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say is that, it's good that stuff is, let's say, vetted, right? Traditional media, legacy media, people like yourselves are needed because, we have professional journalists, professional editors, and so on and so forth. But in times of crisis, Twitter is good because you see everything in real time. And as you say, you get stuff from on the ground. Now, that has its own flaws because it's easy for people to sort of manipulate stuff. It's not, we don't know where it's coming from. But I think in times of crisis, as you say, when I was in Ukraine, my territories were going on, Twitter was my go-to resource because simply it had the news in real time. Now, Russia, obviously, of course, is very much. What's interesting at the moment is if you look at, a lot of RT and a lot of the Russian state propagandist channels, they're not even, they're just broadcasting what seems to be a different reality. Just, Russian troops rolling along, Russian tanks rolling along, everything. It's fine, everything hunky-dory. It seems to me that they understand that they're not even trying to make the case for the war. It seems that they realize there's no point, that no one believes their sort of lie that they've come in to denazify Ukraine and Ukrainians want to join Russia. So they're not even attempting to challenge that at the moment. And they're just sort of carrying on with this. If you look at these soldiers walking along, unencumbered, and it just seems to be a different reality. So it's very interesting what is happening right now in terms of the information battle.
Yeah, it's an absolute split. David, good to talk to you.